You're listening to the Relevance Hour, the podcast where purpose-driven leadership and bold ideas bring more impact and relevance. Join Alizée Wyckmans and Denis Drossart as they talk to inspiring leaders, disruptors, and change makers, redefining how we learn, lead, and interact. Get ready for stories, insights, and conversations that keep you ahead and always relevant.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Relevance Hour podcast, a space where relevance and leadership come together to transform the way people learn, lead, and interact. I'm Denis. Today, we're going to deep dive into the most defining aspect of modern leadership, purpose. Why do we do what we do, and how can leader use purpose as a true strategic advantage, not just as a slogan on a wall? And to help us explore this, I'm thrilled to have a guest whose entire career has been built around leading with purpose. She's the Chief Operating Officer at Botaniste, a revolutionary plant-based, organic, fast casual restaurant concept that's not just only serving delicious food, but is also deeply committed to sustainability, health, and creating a positive impact on the planet. Under her leadership, Le Botaniste has grown to a brand with a strong ethical backbone, proving that business can be both profitable and purposeful. Alizée, welcome to the Relevance Hour.
Hi, Denis. So nice to see you. So nice to be with you today. Thank you for the invite.
Nice to see you. Where are you calling from today, Alizée?
I'm here in a flagship in New York City, in Bryant Park, one of 10 locations.
I had the chance to be there for the opening. Gorgeous, gorgeous flagship store.
Thank you.
So let's start at the core. A lot of companies talk about purpose. They have mission statements on their office walls. But as we both know, having a purpose statement doesn't mean to be really, truly purpose-driven, right? So from your experience, Alizée, what's the difference between having a mission and actually living your purpose on a daily basis?
I mean, you said it very right. Like, a mission is something that you put off your wall. That's something that you really want to give as a slogan for your team and for your guests to know. For me, the purpose is really more about who you are and what you want to bring to the picture. What is the right spot for you and how you want to make it live in everything you do. For me, it's about being here at Le Botaniste, but it's also true for a lot of other things. And this is really where the mission of Le Botaniste, my personal purpose and Le Botaniste purpose come together and really make sense. For me, my purpose, it's able to say I'm part of this. And it's the sense of being at the right place at the right time and really being able to, in my case, change the world to make it a healthier, more nourishing place and giving that opportunity to people. Yeah, I hope I answer your question.
No, I love that, especially when you say that your personal purpose also feels aligned to the purpose of the company you're working with, right? And that it's not just a statement, but it's a true feeling that you have, right? That is embedded in your daily actions.
Yeah, and I mean, it's my purpose also live in everything I do. And it's the reason why I come to work every day. I mean, although I never say I come to work because you know me, Le Botaniste is part of my life. It's fully integrated. And when I come to four walls, I'm coming to actually live my life mission and living my purpose in the way I lead my teams, I speak with the customers, and more globally how Le Botaniste operates and what it's embody. So it's, for me, it's very fulfilling. I don't think I could do a job without purpose. That would not work out for me.
I love that when you say it's very fulfilling, and when you're saying that it's a daily fulfillment, right? And it's part of your life, and it doesn't feel like going to work, right? It's like your passion becomes reality. So amazing that, and it's so true, right? And I think more than ever, people, whether customers or employees, can feel whether a company is authentic about its purpose or just paying a lip service, right? Let's talk a little bit about that concept and unpack that. Can you share a moment from your journey at Le Botaniste where being purpose-driven changed the course of the organization or made a real impact on your team or your guests?
During COVID, restaurants closed up here in New York City. And for about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, we were totally closed to the public. And we really worked very hard with Laurent, CEO, to see how are we going to be able to host guests again and to actually give food to them in that time of like deep insecurity. And I mean, New York was just the heart of this. And, very soon we decided to reopen our doors, knowing that it's going to be a tough time, that business not going to be back to where it was, and navigating that, instability, unknown. And we took the decision to reopen the restaurant ourselves. So we wanted to build confidence for guests, but also for a team that we were there and that we would be continuing the journey, no matter how rough it could be. And so the whole management team was there, closing the restaurants for months, and rehiring a team one by one, bringing back those people that have believed in us, guests and team. And I think for me, that's really deepened a before and after of that time, which was a challenging time, but made us so much stronger about why we do what we do, which was to really provide, connect people, show them that something different is possible, and that it's reflecting from your plate to the way you manage a place, and that with willingness and purpose, everything is possible. People thought we were crazy. I loved it. It's deepened my sense of responsibility for my guests and the reason why we're doing what we do.
I love that. So COVID was sort of a reset to be even more purpose-driven than ever, and also attract the right talents, right? Because eventually it was not easy to recuperate the right talent, especially in the hospitality industry, right?
I'm not a strong believer that, COVID was something that happened to us. I think that things happens, and it was a big reality check that was really necessary as a society. So it happened to be at that time, but it could have been something else.
I love that. It's COVID didn't happen to us, it happened for us, right? So having that mindset of taking that and turning that into an opportunity, it's a change of context that brings the purpose even more so at the core of what we do and why we do what we do. So that's an incredible story, Alizée. Thanks for sharing. And it really shows that purpose isn't just a nice to have, right? It's often the backbone that guides tough decisions. We always say leadership should be sort of reversed engineer, starting with the end in mind. How do you see that connecting to leading with purpose?
The way I would like to answer the question is like, it started with me. It started with like, what do I want to build? Like, what do I want to be part of? And when I started working at the Botaniste, is that I want to be part of this project that's going to be changing the way people eat and the way they experience food, but also without harming the planet, and also how it's going to be leading to a better society for the next generation. And I think that in the way of leading, we have to remind people that we actually have this question as individual as well. And it's all started there, and be able to connect in an individual level on that purpose. It's for me the strongest leadership tool, because when you can really connect other human, for me, this is where it can stick, it can have impact, and it can really create connections and really exist. Because without that connection, for me, there is no relationship and there is no future for like businesses.
No, absolutely. It's all about that emotional connection you have with that brand, right? There is such a big difference between I like what I do versus I love what I do, right? So loving what you do is key, right? Having that emotional connection to the higher purpose. So thank you for that. It's totally aligned. And I'm sure leaders listening today are inspired, but also probably thinking, well, how do I make purpose part of my daily life and in my business? So Alizée, the question to you is, from your perspective, what are the 3 practical ways leaders can sort of embed purpose in their everyday decisions and actions?
So I find it a very difficult question. And I reflect on like, why is it such a difficult question for me to answer? And I think it's because it's just really the way I am. It's my passion, it's my purpose, and it's just like all blend together. But I really give it some thought. And I think that using your purpose as a filter might be one of the tips that I would give, meaning that if you feel like it's a no and it doesn't fit into your deep purpose, you should not go for it. For example, like at the Botaniste, we do all organic things. And, one of our suppliers recently asked us, like, but would you consider going for that product or that product that are not organic, but that's going to be cheaper? And no, our purpose is to do organic food. And so if there is any hesitation, even if it's tempting, even if there is like, but makes sense, maybe, if it doesn't fit into what you truly believe in and there is any hesitation, it should automatically be a no. So it's kind of like you use your purpose as your compass and it's your filter for the direction you're going. My second thing is, I think purpose is also about listening and interaction with your team. So it has to be really part of everything you do, but not in a despotic way. So it has to be interactive and you have to really actively listen and involve your team in the way you're building the habits around the purpose. So one example of that is that when we rebuild a blueprint, we were thinking, we really integrated the GMs because they're the people that actually are living a purpose day to day, and we needed the impact. So it's really a mix of listening, which lead me to the third one, which is really making it part of the day to day and making sure that a purpose is illustrated in tangible things in a day to day. And it can be in the way we are treating our customers and all the little decisions that we are taking every day and making sure that everybody understands that. So it's really like also like listening, involving and communicating the purpose. So it's being very transparent in terms of communication, very open and very inclusive.
So as a recap, Alizée, what I hear is number one, using your purpose always as a compass and as a filter, as a guiding tool for decision making. Should we do this? Is it relevant? And is it connected to the purpose? Yes or no kind of methodology. Number two, you're saying, well, being purpose driven starts with you as a leader to listen and incorporate to a certain extent your team members, co-creating that purpose. That's when we had the chance to write the purpose together with your GMs, where they have more ownership of it because they've been part of building that DNA. The third is embed your purpose in your daily actions, right? We also talk and brainstormed a lot about how can we ask our purpose to our customer to make sure that it's alive? How do we embed purpose questions in the voice of employee in culture surveys, for example, right? From performance evaluation to behavior evaluation, making sure to ask them also if the purpose is alive. So I think those are great tools and great call to actions that African leaders can use as practical examples on how to basically live and breathe their purpose on a daily basis. So thank you for sharing.
And being really practically concrete and embedding it into like the daily thing is really something that I learned with you, Denis. So thank you for that.
I appreciate it. And how do you connect basically using storytelling and connect that to your purpose? How do you see those both connected and how would you implement that in your business or in Le Botaniste?
So we haven't been doing it enough. And when I read that question preparing for the podcast, I was like, maybe we haven't done it enough. So this is something that I take notes for the future that I want to work on. Something that we have been doing is that every 2 weeks we have what we call the veggie time, which is kind of like an internal newsletter that we distribute with our team. And every month we choose a pioneer of the month, and we really explain true little stories of their interaction with guests or with their coworker, why they actually embody the purpose of Le Botaniste and the mission of Le Botaniste and the behaviors. And as much as possible, we try to connect the dots between what we are expecting and what we are hoping and real stories. And actually, prepping for the podcast, I actually realized that's what we were doing. And that the storytelling that you were mentioning is something that we have been trying to do without noticing, because it's just the way it works, right? And it's just like by saying story and making people identify and going back to the emotion, it's really how you make purpose happen.
I love that, capturing those moments in a fun way, right? I love, by the way, your Veggie Times idea, and share that on a bi-weekly basis to inspire basically all of your pioneers, which are known as your employees, to continue conveying that message of your purpose, right? And yes, there is never enough storytelling. And knowing your founder, he's full of stories, right? Traveling the whole world, discovering new vegetables, trying new dishes and recipes. And he might go on a trip and come with that amazing spice that he just discovered. So yeah, from a purpose-driven leadership and storytelling perspective, he's been a great mentor for me, at least on that point. And that's the secret, isn't it? Purpose becomes real when people see themselves in the story also. Alizée, so talking about purpose-driven, we had many exchanges about successful stories on how to bring that purpose to life, right? In your experience, have you encountered some difficulties bringing your purpose to life, some roadblocks? And if yes, what advices do you have to our listeners?
Yes, of course. I mean, it happens to the best of us. It's sometimes complicated to bring that purpose to life. In the case of Le Botaniste, we are in an industry of fast casual dining. So we also have people that just come for the paycheck. And when it's come to making people feeling part of something, I think it goes back to what I said before. It's like communicating, listening, and really being able to co-create something together. And just embedding it in common example, because it's all about the way we want to treat our guests, but it's also about the way we want to be treated. And so my secret weapon always been when you receive someone that's just unhappy to be there, they wanted to have a Big Mac and they're like, what? There is no meat here. And they just flip out. Storytelling about what we're doing and seeing their behavior change when you're going through that storytelling of we're doing amazing plant-based organic food and you're going to feel great after. Just give it a try. Try something new today. And then most of the time, by the time you're smiling to them and just being in very positive interaction, they start smiling at you back. And to me, that it's just that's golden. When I'm able to have someone flipping from being grumpy and unhappy to be there to actually smiling and maybe in the best case telling me I actually enjoy my meal, for me it's just it makes my day. I kind of seek those interactions when I am having a bad day and kind of losing my purpose, being oh my God, why am I doing Excel sheets when I could be in the restaurant making customer and guests smile. But once again, it's going back to what I was saying before. It's just we are all humans. We're not machines. And we have this amazing ability to connect. And so to reconnect with someone, it's to reconnect with a purpose.
I love that, especially when you talk about, I cannot imagine how many customers might enter your doors thinking about, this is a classic restaurant, I want a piece of meat, or I want a Diet Coke, whatever. And you can just say, well, we don't have it, right? The door is there. Or you can turn that potential detractor or not a fan of your brand into a fan of your brand, right? By using storytelling and just convey your purpose, right? And making them leave as an ambassador is just a great feeling, right? It's probably the best feeling. I'm highly connected with you. I'd rather do that all day rather than, sitting on an Excel sheet and writing your budgets. It's, yes, totally understand where you're coming from. So before we're going to wrap up, what's the final piece of advice you'd give to leaders who want to start leading with purpose, but might feel a bit overwhelmed or unsure where to begin?
Trust your gut. I think purpose is the right direction to go always. And if you feel overwhelmed and kind of questioning everything again, but what's my purpose? Just step back and go to a place where you find answers. Maybe call Denis because it's just the best mentor.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And I love that, right? Going back to what we said, it's an emotional connection. And as soon as you have that loving feeling versus liking, well, that's when you're connected to that purpose. And that's where you should go. And to your point, follow your gut and go that extra mile and feel it. Allow yourself to feel it and face it. So I cannot agree more with that piece of advice. Thank you so much. And to all of our listeners, I'll leave you with this question. What's your why? What's your purpose? Why do you wake up out of your bed every morning? Start leading with purpose today. And if you did enjoy this conversation, subscribe, share with someone who needs to hear it, and join us on the next Relevant Hour podcast. Alizée, how was it for you today? How do you feel?
It was amazing, my first podcast, and I loved it. Thank you for guiding the conversation. Thank you for having me, and hope to see you all soon for a big bowl of plant-based delicious food.
Yes, in New York or in Belgium so far. Any plans to expand to other countries in the future?
We're staying local for the moment, but opening a new location in Brooklyn in a couple of weeks.
Amazing. Congratulations. Hope to have you over in Amsterdam soon. We'd love to have you here.
I would love that.
Thank you, Alizée.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. You too.
This was the Relevance Hour. Don't forget to follow, rate, and share, and keep leading with relevance. See you next time.